Hello parents and students, and welcome to week 5 of English Language Arts. It's me, Miss Thomas, the English teacher, and I'm here in an undisclosed location. No, I'm just kidding, it's a computer lab. But just to recap what we did last week, we had back to school night, and I wanted to thank all parents and students for coming out despite the crazy weather. It was really a pleasure meeting all of you, and I'm looking forward to a great year. In addition, we had our diagnostic pre-assessment for writing. I'm really impressed by a lot of the responses, going through them slowly but surely, so you should see them showing up on 3Ring sometime this week. So this week in class, what we're doing is that we're working a lot on finding the main idea, and we're doing this through nonfiction text for the most part. In addition, we are working on grammar on Friday. We're also working on citing the text, and that goes right along with the topic of today's video, which is BCRs. So at back to school night, we talked about the concept of flipped instruction, and what that means is previewing the lesson before coming to class so that you kind of have an idea of what we're going to be discussing. So we're going to do that today, talking about BCRs. We're going over BCRs tomorrow in class, Wednesday. And BCRs stand for Brief Constructive Response. Pretty much what that means is that you write a paragraph to respond to a prompt. And a lot of you have seen this on things such as MSA. So we're going to be working on ways to better our BCR writing, and I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of how to do that. So if you look here, I have a BCR prompt that I came up with on the fly. It's looking for a story that most of us are familiar with. Thought of the Three Little Pigs, you know, the one with the big bad wolf that's huffing and puffing and all that. Yeah, so here is a prompt. Some stories are meant to teach lessons. What lesson does the story of the Three Little Pigs teach? Use details from the story to explain your answer. So, before I get started actually answering the question, let me go over the scoring rubric of BCRs. This one I actually took from Queen Anne's County, but it still applies to Prince George's County because the rubric is the same all across the state of Maryland. So as you can see here, a BCR can range in score from 0 to 3. 0 is the worst, 3 is the best, and we are all aiming for 3s. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. But if you want to score 3, then the response will demonstrate an understanding of the complexities of the text, meaning that you can prove that you read it and that you understand it. Also, it addresses the demands of the question, so answering the whole question, and effectively uses text-relevant information to clarify or extend understanding, which is going back to what we've been doing all along, going to cite the text. So here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into this prompt here. Once again, the prompt was some stories are meant to teach lessons. What lesson does the story of the Three Little Pigs teach? Use details from the story to explain your answer. So if you want to get that coveted 3, then there are 4 quick steps I'm going to teach you that can almost guarantee you that high score that you're looking for. The first step is that we are going to restate the question in our topic sentence. So let me show you exactly what I mean by that. A lot of you have also been getting this comment on your warm-ups from me. What we want to do is that we want to show the reviewer that exactly what we're answering. So if I look at our BCR prompt again, then I see that our question is in our second sentence. What lesson does the story of the Three Little Pigs teach? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to restate the question in the topic sentence. The story of the Three Little Pigs teaches us ... And from there we can kind of continue. Of course we don't write ... but we are going to pick up from there. So what does the story of the Three Little Pigs teach us? Let me see. Thinking back, then it's teaching us to take our time and make sure that we have a quality work. So let me see if I can write that down here. So the story of the Three Little Pigs teaches us how important it is to take our time and to make sure that our that we do high quality work. Okay, because if you remember, the first pig was kind of a slacker. He built his house out of sticks or something, or straw. The second pig, he built his house out of sticks. And the third one built it out of brick. So definitely we want to be like that third pig there. So we want to definitely take our time and make sure that our work is high quality. So here we have done the first thing. We've restated the question in our topic sentence. It's time for us now to move on to number 2, which is to answer all parts of the question. Now, a lot of times when I get homework back from students, I see that sometimes people have answered the first part of the question, but not all of the questions. So one strategy that could really help you out with that is to go back and maybe underline parts of the question that you need to answer. And that way, it'll help you to make sure that you've tackled everything. So I'm going to go back and read this question here. It's pretty basic because I just came up with it off the top of my head, but most of the time in middle school, the questions will be a little bit more complex. But here I'm really being asked our second sentence, what lesson does the story teach us? And also to use details from the story. Okay? So I'm going to go back. I'm going to make sure that I hit both of those parts. So the first thing, I just answered what lesson the story teaches us. So now I'm ready to go and use details from the story. Okay? So that brings us to point number 3. We want to make sure that we have text support. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go back and look at the actual text and see if I can find examples that will back up my thesis statement here. Because if I were just to leave it at this, I would not get a good score. I'd get maybe a 1 or a 0 if the judges were feeling especially mean. So let me just go ahead and go up here. Okay. So I have the 3 little pigs. I have my text here. So I'm going to go ahead and scan it really quickly. Okay. So here I see the first little pig built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. Okay. The second little pig built his house out of sticks. It was a little stronger than a straw house. And the third little pig built his house out of bricks. Okay, and let's see what happens here. Of course, we already know. But the pig, the wolf comes along, blows down the house, and just, he just pretty much wrecks the house and eats the pig. And this is a really mean version, but okay, so the pig, so the first little pig built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. So I can take that sentence right there, and I am going to go back here, and I could say the first pig was lazy and built his house out of straw because it was easy. I could say that. That's pretty cool. That might get me some points, but you know something that's even better if you use a direct quote from the text. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually go back and quote the text. So the first little pig built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. So watch this. According to the text, the first little pig built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. Okay? And here, I want to go back and say exactly where I found this. So, let's see. Looking at the text, line 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, I'm putting in parentheses where I got this from. Okay? So according to the text, the first little pig built his house out of straw because it was the easiest thing to do. But then, let's see. Then he got eaten. Ugh, okay. But then he got eaten as a result. Okay? Now let's see what happened to the other little pig. So we have the second little pig who built his house out of sticks. But the wolf ate him too. Ooh. Okay, so here we could put the same thing happened to the second little pig who built his house out of sticks. Yikes. But let's see what's happened to the third little pig. So the third little pig, okay, so here we have the third little pig who built his house out of bricks. And I put however in there because that's a good transition word. So the third little pig, however, built his house out of bricks and was able, let's see here, what happened to him again? He was able to survive. So here we have some text support. We have some direct text support. We have some indirect text support. But we definitely want to be sure to add our quotes in there when we can. We obviously don't want to quote the whole thing because that won't lead to a 3. Because if you just copy and paste the whole thing, they'll actually give you a score of 0. So you want to use quotes the right way and keep that in mind when you're doing your research as well. Okay. So, last but not least, the fourth thing that we want to do is make an inference. And making an inference is pretty much using what you already know plus what is said in the text. Okay, and that's going to help you come up with the prediction, with the guess, something of that nature. So I'm going to make an inference, and if I look here, based on our text and based on what the question's asking us, then let me see. This is kind of making me remember what my teacher, Miss Thomas, just told me at the beginning of this video. So I agree with the lesson that this story teaches us because taking pride in our work gets us the best results. And then bam, there we go. We have a 3. So that is a quick and easy way to write a BCR. We're going to go over it more in class, but make sure that you keep these 4 steps in your mind anytime you have to write a BCR, and that will help you get a high score. So next week, what we're going to have looking ahead is that we're going to launch Unit 2, Poetry. We're going to take a pre-assessment, I believe, on Tuesday. Your projects will be due next Friday. There will not be school, so be sure to turn them in on Edmodo, or you can put them physically in the box before Friday. If you need to contact me, my email address is sarahjane.thomas@pgcps.org, or you can call me at 301-702-3950, extension 251. Office hours every B day at lunch, with the exceptions of Wednesdays. And that's about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all later. Take care. See you next week. Bye.